A former U.S. ambassador to Azerbaijan, Matthew Bryza, joins us now live from Bodrum, Turkey. Thanks so much for being with us. Help us understand really what the actual state of affairs here is, because this frozen conflict is no longer frozen. Peace talks are failing. The status quo just isn't sustainable. There are these constant escalations now. Are Armenia and Azerbaijan at risk of all-out war?
Well, yeah, I'm speaking in my capacity as somebody who for 3 years was the U.S. mediator between Armenia and Azerbaijan of this conflict. You know, there's under the Organization of Security and Cooperation in Europe, there's a 3 ambassadorial team, 1 French, 1 Russian, 1 American. So I can say that I think at this point that the parties are not very close to all-out war. I mean, the tensions are high, but neither side wants a full-scale conflict because neither side can sustain one for very long. Internally, the politics are unstable because of COVID-19, which hit Armenia really hard and has hit Azerbaijan with a second wave. And in addition, I think the mediating parties want to do everything they can to get the sides back to the negotiating table. Now, there's a framework solution that's been on the table for quite some time, for well over a decade, that the presidents back then agreed to in principle, but they could never finalize it. So I think the key is to get them back to the negotiating table.
But I mean, Azerbaijan in particular has said the negotiating table has proven absolutely useless from their standpoint. The mediators involved aren't really interested in doing what they think would be just in this case. So how does it move forward? Do you need new mediators, perhaps, that can prove to Azerbaijan that all interests are being represented?
Yeah, it's a good point, Andrea. And if you look at the reaction of young men in Baku over the last couple of days, they are furious with what they see as an Armenian provocation. In terms of the mediators themselves, or the organization, I don't think that makes much of a difference because, as I said, there's a framework agreement that's been on the table that is agreed in principle. But the presidents or the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan have not felt enough confidence that they could rely on their counterpart to get the compromises required to finalize that agreement passed in their own societies. And then Prime Minister Pashinyan of Armenia a few months ago kind of threw everything in the air and said, you know what, we should start over from scratch and let's forget about all that's been agreed to date. So I think the problem right now really is that on the Armenian side, there's not a will to drive forward that negotiated framework. But I would say also that a year ago, Pashinyan was speaking far differently. He was saying that I think we can move forward. He and President Aliyev agreed on measures to reduce the level of tension and said we should prepare both of our populations for peace. And then he switched 180 degrees. And my guess, he's under a lot of pressure from Moscow.
From Moscow, okay. Because, I mean, yeah, they have to have something powerful backing them in order to have that level of confidence, because already working against them is the fact that Nagorno-karabakh is an internationally recognized Azerbaijani territory that Armenia is actually seen as occupying. So why, I mean, do you think that kind of confidence they have now, even with Russian backing, should really be merited?
I don't think they should be confident at all. And I think that Armenia has found itself in a really difficult situation right now, where by and large it's being blamed for having provoked this latest round of fighting. It doesn't have the military wherewithal to be able to defeat the Azerbaijani military on the battlefield. But 6 days before all this happened, a very influential member of the Russian parliament's lower house, the Duma, a guy named Konstantin Zatulin, who's the chairman of the Committee on CIS Affairs, he issued a strange warning saying that Armenia is the ally of Russia, and if any country attacks it, Russia will intervene with military force, using the forces that it has in its own bases inside Armenia. So there's something strange going on in Moscow behind this. And my guess is Pashinyan just can't consolidate his strength, and Russia would like to keep everybody off balance. It's a dangerous game, though.
Right. And when you say that Russia would like to keep everybody off balance, we're talking about the macro level here then, because we've seen Turkey come out in full support of the government in Azerbaijan, then hearing Russia provoke Armenia, just the same as we've seen Russia and Turkey at odds in some other geopolitical areas right now.
Yeah, Andrea, are right on target. I mean, in my experience, for almost 20 years, I'd worked on the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, and never had there been a situation where there was such a blatant support of Russia for Armenia, as Duma Deputy Zatulin said, but also never had Turkey been close to being brought into the conflict on Azerbaijan's side. I mean, Turkey always supported Azerbaijan, and as Minister Akar said in the clip before this interview, the idea is that Turkey and Azerbaijan constitute one nation and two states. But throughout all the last almost 30 years of negotiations, Turkey has never participated in an active way. So something is changing. And I do think what we're seeing is this face-off between Russia and Turkey in both Syria and Libya is now maybe going to be played out in Azerbaijan, given that Nagorno-Karabakh is Azerbaijani territory. Yeah.
Matthew Bryza, great to have you. Thanks so much for joining us and bringing some clarity to this very complicated conflict.